The Snow Queen's Story. Once upon a time, a wicked devil made a strange mirror. All the beautiful things reflected in the mirror became distorted and terrible, while everything that was ugly became even uglier than before. In his excitement, the devil carried it to heaven to play a prank on God. Hardly had he reached heaven when the mirror shook terribly, flew from his hands, fell to the earth, and broke into many tiny mirror fragments were scattered all over the earth. People who got a glass splinter in their eyes would see everything awry. Some people got a bit in their hearts, which began to turn into a lump of ice. In a large city, there lived two children named Kai, and they were neighbors and best friends. Every day, they would read picture book, listen to their grandmother's stories and grow roses together. One day, splinters of a demon's mirror suddenly got into Kai's eyes. From then on, the boy's personality changed. He found Gerda so ugly and her games so boring. On a winter day, Kai tied his sleigh to another larger one. The strange sleigh took him to a palace where there were snowflakes as big as white hens. The woman sitting in the huge sleigh was the Snow Queen. The Snow Queen took Kai up in the sleigh beside her. Kai had never seen anyone as beautiful as the Snow Queen. However, her face seemed as cold as ice and her skin as white as snow. The Snow Queen kissed Kai on the forehead, making his heart frozen. Suddenly, in the Snow Queen's story, the little boy forgot little Gerda, his grandmother and his parents. Then she flew him over forest and oceans to her palace. Gerda was heartbroken at Kai's disappearance. She decided to cross the river on a small boat to find him. Unfortunately, her boat was carried away by the current. Little Gerda was terribly frightened. The boat floated to a big cherry garden, in which stood a small house. Gerda called out for help, and there came an old woman, leaning on a crutch. She pulled the boat with her crutch and lifted Gerda out. Gerda asked the woman if she had seen Kai. She answered that she had not and told her not to be sad, but to stay with her, taste her cherries, look her flowers, each of which could tell a story. The old woman understood witchcraft. She wanted Gerda to stay with forever, so she smoothed out the girl's hair with a golden comb, which caused the girl forget all about her little friend Kai. Being afraid that if Gerda saw roses, she would remember Kai, the old woman caused all the roses in her garden to sink into the earth. Gerda loved flowers of every kind, but she thought one kind was missing. One day, Gerda saw that the hat of the old woman had a beautiful red rose painted on it. She ran out into the garden to find the one, but no rose was to be found. Feeling very disappointed, she cried. It was a marvel that as soon as Gerda's tear fell on the ground, a beautiful rose bush shot up suddenly. Gerda kissed the roses. Then she thought of her own roses at home and Kai. She hurried to find Kai. When Gerda walked through a dark forest, she was captured by robbers. They intended to kill her, but their daughter begged to let her keep Gerda to play with. To humor her, they agreed. When Gerda told the girl about Kai, the wood pigeons broke in on their talk that they had seen Kai with the Snow Queen, heading up to her eternal castle at the end of the world. The robber girl asked a reindeer to bring Gerda to the Snow Queen's castle. After running day and night, reindeer finally took Gerda to the end of the world. Gerda met a woman who an enchantress there. The reindeer begged the woman to give Gerda the strength of 12 men to overcome the Snow Queen. The woman explained that Gerda already had a great power inside of her, as she had been traveling so far on her bare feet and made men and animals to serve her. The woman told Gerda the way to the Snow Queen's palace. It was covered with snow. The snowflakes had strange forms. Some looked like big porcupines, others like knots of snakes. Some were fierce bears. Gerda ran nervously while saying the Lord's Prayer. Her breath came like smoke and turned into little angels. The angels struck all the snowflakes and helped Gerda to reach the Snow Queen's castle safely. In the largest room of the castle, Kai was sitting along fitting some pieces of ice into pattern. The Snow Queen promised him that if he could spell the word eternity. So now Kai was his own master. The Snow Queen suddenly came home. She asked Kai to stay and rule the eternal castle with her. Kai asked the Snow Queen to keep her promise and set him free to go back home with Gerda. The Snow Queen got very angry and created icy winds and asked her monstrous snowflakes to attack Gerda. Kai quickly held Gerda close. It was so marvelous. They glowed a bright light from their bodies, which melted the snow. The Snow Queen cried out in terror. She faded away in the air. Hand in hand, Kai and Gerda ran away with joy. Wherever they went, the wind stopped, the ice melted and the sun came out. Kai and Gerda returned home together. Everything at home remained unchanged. The roses were still in bloom. They saw each other. They were grown up now, but their friendship was still as close as it had been. After overcoming a lot of challenges, Kai and Gerda lived together happily.